During November 2022 in Egypt, the United Nations held its climate change COP27 conference. If you examine their results, after 2 weeks and the alarming language used, they still failed to come to any meaningful decisions or agreements. Next, you will hear the view of our children.
Why it's a waste of time recycling. When we talk about climate change and what we need to do to stop it, reverse it or slow it, what are we actually talking about? Most people are waiting for their governments to do something. But is this really what is going to change things? I say no. It isn't the governments who are producing CO2, it's us. Yes, me and you and our parents. Let me ask you 2 questions. Are you going to ask your dad to sell his car, stop eating meat and stop heating our house in the winter? Are you going to stop producing CO2? The short answer is no. It's people who need to stop doing what we are doing, and I don't believe we are capable of doing what is necessary to stop this march towards climate disaster and subsequent biological extinction. Here's why. Look at this data. Every year in Hawaii, scientists take an atmospheric carbon dioxide reading in January. Look at this graph of the readings since 1959. It's not difficult to see that the increments are about 3 parts per million, increasing each year. Today in 2022 we are on 418 parts per million and rising. So in January 2023 it will read 421. Easy maths, right? Even I can do this, and I am only 10 years old. Therefore in 2050 the reading will be 501 unless our parents don't stop driving their cars, eating meat and heating our homes. On the way to 2050 and climate disaster, there are a number of irreversible tipping points. A tipping point is a point at which nature and our physics take over and human activity can stop the changes even if we wanted to. Here are the unstoppable changes that will happen to me and my friends. 1. The carbon 386 tipping point 2015. At this point, we entered into the beginning and first phase of runaway global heating. This was discovered by James Hansen, the NASA scientist who was one of the first to warn the world of the extinction threat. 2. The 2025 carbon 425 to 450 parts per million tipping point. This will be the second phase of runaway global heating, an unavoidable extinction process for half of humanity by mid-century 2050, which is less than 28 years away. Remember the simple maths. 2023 to 2050 equals 27 years, 27 years 10 3 parts per million equals 81 parts per million, our current level is 421. 421 parts per million plus 81 parts per million equals 502 parts per million. 3. The 2042 to 2067 or earlier carbon 500 parts per million tipping point begins the runaway global ice melt. This is the third phase of runaway global heating, which accelerates the unavoidable extinction process for half of humanity by mid-century and can lead to the extinction of an even greater portion of humanity. Once the global ice melt really begins, the 3 parts per million per year will increase to 4 or even 6 parts per million per year. 4. The 2063 to 2072 or earlier, the carbon 600 parts per million near total human extinction tipping point due to massive methane releases from the permafrost in the oceans. 5. The post-2072, the carbon 750 parts per million final and fifth phase of runaway global heating. This crossed threshold leads to a total human and biological life extinction. In conclusion. So, what is my message? Let's imagine your daughter or my little sister is 2 years old in January 2023. In 2050 at a carbon dioxide level of 500 parts per million she will be 29 years old, and she will know that there is no point in getting married or having kids because her children will not survive. This is not the future. It's now. Stop recycling, it is a waste of time. If you really want to survive this inevitable disaster, then stop driving your cars, stop eating meat, stop heating your homes, stop consuming products. What was it you said, Dad? No. That is exactly my point, Dad. Dad, I don't want to die.